San Francisco, it's Rex Broadcasting Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Let's get it on!
How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer with Brian Alvarez. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours talking pro wrestling as we do every Sunday night here on Wrestling Observer Live. And our guest will be Tom Zenk, who is actually one of our most popular guests, and also, as coincidence would have it, this is not a coincidence, he went to high school with Curt Hennig, and of course our lead story of the week is that Curt Hennig passed away on Monday in Tampa, Florida, in his hotel room, actually in Brandon, Florida. They came to get him, to bring him to a show that was going to be at the Fairgrounds, an independent show promoted by Jimmy Hart. Nobody answered the door. They opened up the door. They saw his body. They had to actually go in through a window, and he did not have a pulse. He was 44 years old. And, Brian, your thoughts on Curt Hennig? Quite a shock, actually.
Yeah, it was really shocking. And Curt Hennig was one of the guys where early when I was watching wrestling, he was one of those guys that I loved watching because he was so good. Even back then, I was not a big Hulkamaniac. I was into the big guys and the lumbering guys, and I always loved Curt Hennig and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and all those guys. And that was one of my favorite matches from when I was a kid, was that SummerSlam match with Curt Hennig and Bret Hart. And I was driving home today from the TNA show, and on the radio came that song, Nobody Does It Better. And I remember they did the greatest music video for Curt Hennig to that. It was like a montage of all the vignettes they'd done with the basketball and the golfing, and it was so great. And I thought, they should have done that at Raw. At the very beginning of the show, just aired that video, but they didn't. But they did do a graphic for him, so that was cool.
They didn't have time to do it for Raw.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being the timing and everything like that. I mean, they could have done it on SmackDown.
Yeah.
But whatever. And we'll talk a lot more about Curt Hennig in the second hour, and you can talk about him in the first hour as well. We do have one line open. It's at 1-800-878-PLAY, so you can hop aboard that. What's kind of interesting, we'll also talk about Portland wrestling in a couple of minutes. Very interesting week there. But the pay-per-view, usually we're 1 week away from a pay-per-view next Sunday, and I just keep remembering being on this show, and we're 1 week away from a pay-per-view, and we don't know any of the matches. And this time, we not only know most of the matches on this show, but we know most of the key matches on the next show as well. So they actually are planning further in advance.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it's like they had the WrestleMania plan and they're booking backwards, which is what they should have been doing all year. But for some reason, they don't.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to go ahead to a break right now. We're going to start taking your phone calls, talk a little bit about Portland wrestling, and Bob Sapp and Mirko Krokop, the TV and WWE. We can talk about NWA TNA as well. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Welcome back to the show. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. You know that Curt Hennig considered Bobby Heenan his second father. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty. I talked to Heenan about that the other day. Get through a couple of notes here. Portland wrestling, Brian. And you should. Before we get to Portland wrestling, you wrestled as one of the Fabulous Ones last night?
Yes, we tried a new Fabulous Ones gimmick.
And how did that do?
Well, it was one of those things that was such a great idea at 1 o'clock p.m., and then we drove 400 miles, and by the time we got there, it was like, let's just get through this night. But it went about as well as could be expected. We tried.
Okay.
So.
Now, I guess you should, update everyone on, there was no Portland taping again this week, and at this point, they kind of sent out a press release that they were shutting down. Yeah, the press release indicated it was all over, and I sort of think that it is all over unless something happens. And do you really think it's over for good? Wow. Well, the press release was so final, you know what I mean? And nobody called me to tell me, well, the press release sounds final, but it's really not. We're still going to fight this thing. And the press release made it sound like the WB did not want to put up the fight. I would think that if something came up and the commission were abolished or whatever, or somehow somebody else did the fight or whatever, and this all went away, then Portland Wrestling would start up immediately. But I don't expect that to happen. But strangely enough, yes, last night I worked on a show in Portland, which was a licensed show,
and there was no commissioner there, ironically, to shut the show down if I threw a closed fist or pulled hair. And also that same night, there was a show at Tito's, which was a free show, which also should have, I guess, been outlawed. Whatever the hell the deal. I've totally given up on trying to figure out what this whole story is and how, I don't know. I don't know. I'm at a loss.
Yeah, I am too. By the way, I just want to remind everyone that Thursday on Ron Barr's Sports Byline USA show, John Molinaro will be the guest. So, anyway, a couple of other things to talk about. A couple of big fights coming up. I want to get your thoughts on. Of course, UFC is the 28th, and Tim Sylvia and Rico Rodriguez, which I don't know that anyone's actually interested in that fight.
Their families, maybe. Aside from that, nobody.
But there are two fights that people are interested in. One is Matt Lindland, Phil Baroni. At least anyone who's on the internet that reads mixed martial arts websites, they're interested in that fight.
Yeah. But then there's the problem again that, those people are going to buy the show anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you don't have television.
Yeah. Well, you can still have names. Like, they didn't have television, but I had friends that, they didn't really follow the news boards or anything, but they knew enough to know that Ken Shamrock and Tito Ortiz were going to fight, and they cared.
Yeah, but that's something that, I mean...
Well, it's just like the whole Tank thing. I mean, it's like Tank and...
But do you think Tank and Frank Mir is going to be that big of a deal?
No, nobody cares.
Yeah, because it's Frank Mir.
Yeah, my friends cared about Tank when they heard he was coming back, but they're not going to care about Frank Mir.
Yeah. What do you think about that fight?
I think that I would not have put that fight together. I don't know. I haven't seen Tank in so long, so I don't even know if Tank has a chance. Maybe he does. But
I know a lot of people think Tank's going to win.
Maybe he will.
Yeah, a lot of people think Tank's going to win.
There were a lot of people that thought that Ken Shamrock was going to win until everybody but you.
No, most people who I talked to thought that that Tito was going to win, but there were a lot of people who thought that Ken was going to win. Now on this one, most of the fight people I know think that Tank is going to win. And when I visualize it, the way it matches up stylistically, Mir is not that great of a wrestler where you would think he should be able to take Tank down. Standing up, Tank should be able to beat him up. Now, if Mir gets him down, he probably can submit him pretty quick because he's a pretty darn good submission guy.
Tank is also old.
Tank is also old and hasn't fought in many years, and he may not have any stamina, even though he's trained for stamina. He may not have the punch at his lighter body weight. There's a lot of questions on this one. I don't know. I think Frank Mir's going to win. You saw Frank Mir hurting.
Yeah, but that was also his hometown.
Yeah, and his father had just died. Although I don't know if he knew his father. Do you know his father? Yeah, of course he did, because he did the speech.
Yeah.
So.
But I would have put Tank against someone that would draw my friends. You know what I mean? Not my friends.
Well, they tried.
But people like my friends.
They tried. They just couldn't find anyone.
Well, if they couldn't find anyone, I wouldn't have had him fight.
Yeah, well.
I just held it off and let him cut another interview. God.
Fedor and Antonio Nogueira on Pride Show on the 16th.
Oh.
I think Fedor's
Nogueira.
Okay, I think Fedor's going to beat him, which is not, that's an upset. But I think the title's changing hands there. And under K1 rules on March 30th, same day as WrestleMania, Bob Sapp and Mirko Cro Cop.
I have no prediction yet because Mirko Cro Cop, everyone's tried to beat this man, and he's still the pro wrestler killer, and he's so much more talented than Bob Sapp at kickboxing, but Bob Sapp is also very, very, very large and defeated Ernesto Hoost, so I have no clue.
I'm going with Mirko Cro Cop on this one. We'll see. Let's see what else. You loved Raw Monday.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah. Well, Vince was hilarious.
Yeah. It wasn't one of those shows that I would like to see because there wasn't enough wrestling, but for a one-week show where they had, everybody was waiting for the storyline of the 30 days, and they built the show around it, and it was one show-long storyline, and, you got the payoff at the end of some sort, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Hunter started wrestling night before last, so he actually came back a week earlier than expected. Not doing much at all, and
well, he sort of had. Didn't they bill him for this Monday already?
For Monday, but not for the house shows. There was no,
Yeah.
So, but limping pretty bad too.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're gonna get through Monday. He will. He'll get through.
Same way they got through the weekend, he won't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. He got engaged.
Yes, he did.
That's actually like the biggest story of like our lifetime. Just wait in 10 years.
It may be.
Oh, just wait in 10 years. There's so much that means. Anyway, we're going to start getting the phone calls. We're going to start in, I believe, Wise, Virginia, and
I wonder
Jesse.
what Shane's thinking about that, by the way.
I don't know. I don't know what he would be thinking about.
He's got a new brother-in-law.
Yeah?
And soon, perhaps, a new boss.
I expect that. And Kevin Nash is going to be vice president in charge of talent development someday, too.
He will.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to go to Jesse in Wise, Virginia. Jesse, what's up?
Hello.
Hey.
How you doing? I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller.
Okay, cool.
First off, can you clarify something? Because I've been reading a lot of stuff on the net and about the Austin right before he walked out.
Yes.
WWF.
Yes.
I've heard rumors. I've read rumors saying that he had requested to work with Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit to sort of like elevate them. But I've also heard rumors that he didn't really want to do that. That Vince put him in an angle with Eddie and ultimately later Benoit.
The Benoit thing had been planned for months. I mean, like at one point that was supposed to be the WrestleMania match, but Benoit didn't get back by then. The Guerrero thing, I mean, he didn't mind working with Guerrero. He was going back and forth by then.
I think part of that was he was upset with creative, and part of remember that angle they had to build up him and Eddie where they were at a karaoke bar.
Oh, it was so horrible.
Yeah, how could he have been happy doing that?
That was better than the Rock Austin sing-along angle right before Survivor Series, I thought.
Yeah, but that wasn't good either.
Yeah. Also, what about rumor? Do you know anything about Austin pushing to work with the Undertaker during this time period?
I haven't even heard anything about that at all.
Yeah, because I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I didn't. It never came up. I mean, they've worked together so many times. I don't think anybody wanted to see it again. I don't know if they wanted to do it again. I mean, I never had heard, Austin pushing for that.
Okay. Can I ask a couple other questions?
Sure.
Secondly, what's up with Molly Holly? I mean, she was off the TV for like a month and a half. Do you know what happened with that?
No, it's nothing. It's just that they, on their women's division, I mean, the ones that they're focusing on are Victoria, Jazz, and Trish Stratus, and Molly was kind of like the odd person out. But then with Trish Stratus, doing the injury angle, they're using Molly Holly to feed people right now. But they don't really.
Nothing to do with her. Then they were angry with her.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's angry with her. I just think that she's in rough shape right now as far as being a player.
Okay. Third question, and this is about Triple H and Stephanie.
Yes.
Do you think that do you believe that they actually will get to the altar, or
Yes.
I know that
God knows what'll happen there.
Oh, nothing's going to happen there but after that, no. But I think they will. They've been together for a long time now. Hasn't it been a couple of years now?
99, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it's like a couple of years. So yeah, I think so.
I was thinking this because
they didn't rush into it like a lot of people, get drunk and then get married like they did in their storyline. I mean, they've been together for a long time and they haven't had big blow-ups because if they had, I think we'd hear about them.
I was asking this because something that you got Zenk in the second hour. Maybe you could ask him about this. But he's made a couple of comments in his website and his column there about Vince possibly just tolerating the Triple H Stephanie relationship, and that he really would the whole snobbish, Triple H is from a working class family. Him and Stephanie are from money, and that that in the end Vince would consider Triple H to be beneath his daughter in terms.
Well, I think if there were issues like that, they would have surfaced years ago. I mean, they've been together for years now. So, anyway, we're going to head to a break, okay?
Okay.
All right, we'll be back right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Welcome back to the show. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter with Brian Alvarez, Figure 4 Weekly. We'll be joined by Tom Zenk in the second hour. And I want to remind you, if you're interested in the most updated wrestling news, most detailed wrestling news to be found anywhere, you can always go to www.wrestlingobserver.com, and we always have updates every day as far as results and things like that, and as far as like the real detailed news. You can order a Wrestling Observer newsletter and Figure 4 Weekly, details on the website and how to get both publications. And this week's issue of the Observer is going to be real good. I do that right now. I don't know how, but because I haven't written it yet, but it'll be good.
That's good to know.
Yes. Let's see. We're going to go to Aaron in Henderson, Nevada. Aaron, what's going on?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Doing really good.
a couple quick questions. First, I want to make a comment. Pretty convenient. Triple H pops the question about a week before Stone Cold comes on back, isn't it?
I don't think one has anything to do with the other. I think it just has to do with it was Valentine's Day.
You got to admit, that's probably something like that had to be going through his mind. You know, he is Mr. Political, so.
They've been together for 3 years. I mean, it was inevitable. I mean, I think it was inevitable. I kind of assumed this was going to happen all, you know.
I think he would have been protected with or without the engagement, so.
Yeah.
Now, the question I want to ask is, I know a lot of times they say sometimes your second movie's bigger than your first. What kind of leverage do you think The Rock's going to have should El Dorado come out and bomb, you know, both in Hollywood and in wrestling? Where do you think his leverage is going to be?
Well, he's still got so many other props that he's gotten that it's I don't think anything matters right away. I mean, you know, down the road if he has 3 movies in a row that bomb, yeah, you know, it's
some of the projects he's got lined up. You just kind of wonder if they're going to have the kind of appeal that the Scorpion King.
I don't think they will. I really don't. When I look at, that's what I think. I think the same thing. I don't look at them as, you know.
I think he'd have to have several bombs, though. I don't think one bomb's going to hurt him at all.
Yeah, just looking at the projects that he's got lined up, though, I don't see one that's really going to, you know, really stand out to have other than maybe the Scorpion King sequel.
Yeah.
Where it's going to make him, a major player. I mean, some of these you got to question. El Dorado, they said, doesn't even have really a working title.
Yeah, they don't even have a name, and they're already over budget.
Yeah, and a couple of those other picks like that Walking Tall, you kind of wonder, how kids today or people today are going to be receptive to that, depending on how they rework it.
And here's the other thing too, as far as The Rock's appeal to the wrestling audience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is nothing. I mean, and the Ray show it right now.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing compared to what it was 2 years ago.
And I know there was rumors that he was going to possibly retire and everything, and that it was just doing it for leverage, and that's why I wanted to ask.
I said the stuff about retirement for leverage, I don't buy for a second, and the reason I say that is because the way it got out, it was not a. If he wanted to get out, it would have gotten out a different way if he was using it for leverage. It got out in a way that nobody expected to get out.
I mean,
so I don't buy he was. I think that he just was talking to somebody, and I mean I've known for years, from people who know his family and stuff that he is considered, getting out of wrestling, and I think anyone in his position would consider that. And I'm sure he was just talking about that. And, he's got all of these movies and they take so much of his time, one after the other after the other. There's not going to be much time for wrestling in the next, year and a half, no matter what anyway. So.
Right. But where does that leave? Like, if he has, 2 or 3 bombs in a row.
He can always come back. He is a incredibly talented guy when it comes to wrestling.
I think El Dorado has a very uphill battle because you don't know when they're going to exactly release it, what it's going to be up against.
I think it's coming out in September, but you're right. I have no idea what it's going to be up against.
Rock's made a lot of money and he saved it, so I think he'll be okay no matter what.
Yeah, I just wanted to call and ask that. We have a couple of things cleared up. I appreciate it.
Okay, very welcome. Thanks very much, Aaron. We're going to go to Dan in Chicago. Dan, what's going on?
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Doing really good.
I was kind of bummed out to hear about Mr. Perfect passing away.
Yeah, we all were.
I got a couple of memories of him. Actually, a lot of memories.
I got too many memories of him.
No kidding.
I can't stop. Every time I start thinking, there's like 10 more popping in my head.
Right. I Hate Rap. All right. Yeah.
I Hate Rap. Yeah.
That was great. I was watching a lot of old WCW tapes this week, and I want to talk about WCW.
Okay. Sure.
But also one of the moments on Primetime Wrestling when him and Bobby Heenan did that angle where Heenan slapped Hennig in the face and.
When they did the split?
Yeah.
And he came back as a babyface? That was Bobby Heenan was tremendous in that angle.
Yeah. And he got all ticked off because every week Gorilla Monsoon was saying absolutely perfect, and Heenan would get all ticked off about that. And, he was saying that you guys were hating him a week ago and everything. I remember all that. I just remember all that.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of battles in the AWA with Nick Bockwinkel. I remember.
Oh, God, I remember the New Year's Eve match on ESPN.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Brian, did you ever see that match? Oh, that match.
It took the whole show.
It was a 60-minute draw, and I think, as I recall, I don't think they took a commercial break.
I don't think so either.
During the match, which you could never do today.
Yeah.
And, just an incredible match. That was the match where I really saw, that Kurt was really going to be, it, in that one. I mean, he'd been good for years. I remember when he worked in Portland. I mean, it was pretty clear, because he was only about 25 years old, that he was going to be, a big-time star. And he kind of stalled a little at the beginning in the AWA, but then, when he started working with Bockwinkel, you could really see, he was world championship material.
Yeah, it's just sad that, well, obviously, if anybody dies, it's a shame, but especially when the kids go before the parents, in all walks of life.
Yeah, that happens in wrestling far too often.
Yeah, well, all walks of life.
Far too often. You know what? It's almost, you know, I hate to feel it. It's almost like I'm numbed, and it's like I just kind of expect it, like, by the, you know what I mean? Like, my life is writing obituaries now. I mean, it's, you know, that aspect totally sucks.
Yeah. But, can I talk about WCW now?
Sure. Why not?
Well, I was, going to ask you guys. I was watching, from tapes from, me and my buddy, we would, exchange tapes, and I like to collect, tapes. I threw out a lot of stuff. I got, like, a lot of Nitros saved. What Nitro would stand out for you from the good times, from 96 to 98 started the downward spiral?
You know, there's not any specific thing that stands out other than
all the main events they had on free TV, all the money that they had.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. I don't know. Like maybe, you know, like when Karl Malone and Rodman were there, and
I think that was the start of it, personally.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there was so much.
Goldberg, I mean,
the Hogan Goldberg match in Atlanta is pretty memorable. Yeah, that was pretty memorable. But I mean, I just remember, God, you know, I mean, you know, to me, you know, the stuff that I remember and is matches like Billy Kidman and Juventud Guerrera, like 4 or 5 of them, and they were all awesome. And I think the best one might have been on Thunder. But that.
You right there. Do you think that's what killed off WCW too, the Thunder show?
No. What killed off WCW was absolute and complete stupidity, and that was going to happen whether they had Thunder or not. Thunder may have sped the process up, though, no doubt.
From '97, I mean, I was watching a few tapes, and it was just like unbelievable matches. You know, I'm glad I saved those matches that
Benoit, the best of 7.
Yeah, they had a lot of good ones there. But you know, the thing is that they never made new talent. You know, and that was the problem. They had all those great matches for that day, but they never, you know, I remember when, you know, I'm trying to remember what year this was. This is like 96-ish, maybe 95 even. And I remember, like, being told, you know, 2 months before Starrcade, it's like, yeah, we got this big plan for Starrcade, and Randy Savage is going to put over Chris Benoit. This was when Chris Benoit was still new. I mean, and it's like, you know, that's a great mentality. And then, you know, 2 months later, and, you know, they didn't even work together.
Right.
And, you know, once I saw that start happening, I knew that they were going to be in trouble because, you know, the older guys, you know, they're only good for a certain length of time. And, you know, and they rode Hogan. They rode Hogan to death until, you know, there was nothing left to ride, and then they had nothing left because, you know, Eric always thought, as long as I have Hulk Hogan, then I'll be in good shape because Hulk Hogan, you know, they didn't realize that characters get old. And, you know, and WWE's got the same problem with their characters.
So, in your opinion, okay, whose fault was it that drove the company into the gutter? Whose fault was it? Was it Bischoff's fault, or was it Ted Turner's fault, or was it? It
wasn't Ted Turner's fault. I mean, Eric Bischoff, Brad Siegel, Vince Russo, Hulk Hogan. I'd say if I had to pick 4 people, those would be the 4.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
We're going to go to Jonathan in Savannah, Georgia. Jonathan, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not too much.
I had a question for you, a couple questions, actually. And my first question was, I caught Velocity last night, and that Kidman Noble match was actually pretty good considering it was on Velocity. And they actually gave it time to actually, like, have an actual decent match, like, at least, like, I don't know, like 10 minutes. Longer than the most Velocity matches. And my question was, is Noble going to be the next one cut? Is he in danger of being cut, do you think?
I don't think so. He's really talented. I don't, unless they do, if they go to one brand, if they drop the brand extension, then guys like Jamie Noble, I think, are in danger. But I don't think his contract is that heavy, and he's a good worker. They're still booking him at the house shows. If you look at the guys that aren't getting house show bookings, those are the kind of guys that might be the next one to go. But Noble, I don't see it.
Like Crash Holly or someone like that.
Like Crash Holly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if I was him, I would be very nervous. But you know what? From what I gather, he's been nervous for a long time.
Years, probably.
Yeah.
And my other question was, every week they seem to be pushing Jeff Hardy. Now, I don't know what his deal was this week, if he was a face or he was a heel.
He's back as a face. He was back as a face. He did that ridiculous heel turn.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. But
you don't feel confused. Don't feel like you're missing something. No one can figure it out.
Nah, but my question was, from what I've heard on like what I've read and stuff, now whether or not it's true, that he's been like constantly late and what.
Well, that's true.
Why do they continually push him down everybody's throat?
Because he gets a big pop when he comes out, and they're marks for pops.
Okay.
That's the reason.
Yeah.
So, okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Anything you want to add to that, Brian?
No, he's just one of those guys that, and not so much because they kind of did kill him with this, but for a while he was a base that they would always cheer no matter what, no matter how many times he lost or whatever, and I think they just saw that as, oh, he's over, even though he probably
Well, he's over because young girls like him and they scream louder than guys.
Yeah.
So it kind of is a misleading deal there.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got to go ahead to a break right now. We'll be back with more right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to the Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly, and we're here every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 to 7 Pacific Time. I want to remind everyone also, next week, we're going to actually have a tape show, and it'll be the show last week with Raven. It's actually a pretty darn great show. So if you missed it, you get another chance to hear it next week. If you're not watching No Way Out, which is going on at roughly the same time. Let's go to Lewis in Tucson. Lewis, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not too much.
I was just wondering, what's the WWE's idea for putting Austin and The Rock together at WrestleMania?
Just the idea that just kind of fits because there's. It's
just we've seen it. It's so many WrestleManias at this point.
But what other match did they have for either of them?
I don't know. I would think you'd want to put Rock against somebody who needs the rub. Austin obviously doesn't need the rub. I don't see him.
They're looking for a marquee match that's going to headline a WrestleMania. That's the thing. And Rock against Chris Benoit might be okay for another pay-per-view, but for WrestleMania, I think they feel. They need a dream match, and
though, with everything else they've got.
What?
Do they really?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, what else do they have?
Anymore?
But what else do they really? They got Lesnar and Angle.
Yeah, they got Lesnar and Angle. They got Vince and Hogan.
Yeah.
They got Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho, which may be the guy that actually, if Jericho.
That is going to be very interesting to see if Shawn Michaels puts him over.
Yeah, by all rights, he probably should, but,
That's why I said that's going to be really interesting to see.
He will, actually.
I don't know.
Things change.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I would think, logically, I would think he would, but you just don't know what happens the day of the show.
Yeah.
And that's also way politically driven.
Yeah.
That whole, all those circumstances around that. But, I don't know, man. I just think it's kind of, I think Rock's going to have a good match with Austin no matter what. I think they
just want to get both of them off on a good foot, and then they can go wherever they want to go with Austin after that.
I just think, as far as a dream match, that now people will be happy to see it, but I really don't think that they're going to. I don't want to say they're not going to care, but
well, you got to see the build-up. We don't know if they do a great build-up, if they do great interviews, they can make you care. That's the idea.
Yeah, I guess so.
And if they don't, it's their fault because there should be enough to. There should be enough storyline-wise and interview-wise to make it something big.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to talk about was the 01 USA pay-per-view.
Which one? The one on the 5th of January?
Yeah, the one on the 5th, the one that was the pay-per-view. And
yeah.
I got a tape of that show. That was the funnest time I've had watching a wrestling show in months.
I actually like their December 15th pay-per-view more, but in Japan I hear the same thing. 01 is fun, and even when they have bad matches, it's just the atmosphere is very good, and the low-key match with AJ Styles on that show was tremendous.
Oh, yeah, that was a great match, and, just some of the gimmicks, and, I've been following 01 off and on since they started, and I'd kind of dropped off over the last 6 months, but now, that show really got me back in. I forgot how much fun wrestling could be, and...
Is it also the Matt Gaffari?
Oh, I haven't seen the Matt Gaffari stuff.
Oh, man, I had a Matt Gaffari nightmare last night, Brian.
Uh-oh.
God.
I woke up and I thought that because I haven't been in the gym, I woke up and I looked like Matt Gaffari, which I really didn't. That was only my dream, and I was very unhappy.
Wow.
Did you say something about bringing in his brother who's supposed to be 7 foot tall?
They announced that 7 foot tall and 450-pound brother. I never even heard of this brother.
Yeah, neither did I. That's what I was trying to figure out.
I'd never heard of him having the giant brother, and he's not there. He's not there. He's not there this week.
Brother, giant Silva under a mask or something.
Oh, giant Singh under a mask. Yeah.
I could think of. I even did a Google search on him, and I couldn't find anything that said he had a brother that was, a monster. So
I never heard of this. And he's supposed to be a great amateur wrestler, and you would think that if there's, first of all,
it might be lying.
No, it has to be lying, and I'll tell you why. Because here's the deal: the top of the heavyweight division in wrestling is 280. It's actually now 264 pounds, but it was 286 pounds. So there's no way a 450-pound guy can even compete in wrestling, which, by the way, is a stupid rule, but that's a whole other argument. So the idea that there is this, amateur wrestling champion who's 450 pounds, it's obviously a work. I don't know if he's got a brother, but there's something weird,
That's just so funny. But yeah, that's about all I had to say. Thanks for having me on, man.
Okay, very welcome. We're going to go to Bob in New Jersey. Bob, what's happening?
Hey, guys. Long-time subscriber to both of your newsletters.
Thank you very much.
Got to say that Brian is the funniest guy in wrestling.
Wow. Yeah, he is. He is.
The whole line about Bob Sapp swatting down helicopters in last week's issue was hysterical.
Yeah.
The referees ran in?
What's that?
Referees ran in.
Oh, well, what was that?
I like the original Frank Gotch on Gilligan's Island stuff.
It's the same here.
Oh, that stuff was good, and the urine review was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Two quick questions. I ordered the TNA pay-per-view the other day for the first time in about 3 or 4 months, and I really enjoyed it. And I was wondering what you guys thought about the show.
I don't know. There was no heat in the matches. I liked it more than say the couple of weeks before, but I can't say I liked it. I don't know. I thought it was just kind of just there.
I watched it about 4 hours ago, actually, and I don't know. I watched it with 2 other friends, and it was over, and we did not regret watching it. So that's always a very good thing with TNA. So I think it was.
But you need more than just. Oh, I didn't have a horrible time.
Yeah, it was one of those things where we all didn't mind splitting in $10 for it, but none of us individually would have wanted to pay $10.
Exactly. I think my friend came over and we watched it, and at $5 a guy, it wasn't a bad show.
Yeah.
The other question is, I'm in Jersey right now, and we're having some really bad snow right now. They're talking about 2 feet of snow.
Ugh.
My question is, if in a condition like this, where a Raw or SmackDown show was supposed to take place, if there was 2 feet of snow on the ground, what would WWE do in that case?
A hardcore match.
And they'd have them fight in the snow. No, I think that they would, if there was any way, they would run it. I mean, I was at a show in the Meadowlands in 1990 when it was the weather was ungodly horrible and they didn't cancel the show. And this was actually a WCW show. So there have been some shows in horrible weather that I recall, in WWF history in the Northeast, and they don't cancel the show.
Okay.
So if people can't get to it, somehow people, in the worst snowstorms, if somehow people do shows.
Okay, and one last question. After watching the show the other day and being a long-time ECW goer and now a Ring of Honor goer, any chance of Sandman and or Paul London coming back?
Paul London will be back. Sandman's back this Wednesday. They're doing Sandman and Steve Corino against Loki and Raven as one of the matches. So Sandman will be in for a couple of weeks, and depending on how well he goes over, that'll determine the long term. But right now, I don't think that right now it's kind of like trial basis, I guess would be the best way to call it.
Okay, guys, thanks a lot. I appreciate your time.
Okay, very welcome. We're going to go to Dan in Miami. Dan, what's happening?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing really good.
You were talking about Giant Singh before in a mask. That would be Singh the Giant Convict.
That's right. That's right.
I got a question about Bob Sapp.
Yes.
Has WWE had any interest in him?
Yes.
I'm reading this.
Yes, they have interest in him. But I think he's got a long-term contract with K1, so it's not. Bob Sapp is not an easy person to find. Believe me, we've been trying to get him on this show for months. He's not an easy person to get a hold of.
Yeah, and one more thing.
We need to hang a steak from something.
There's a rap on the internet going around. It's about Bob Sapp. Have you heard it?
Oh yes, and it is great.
Really? I haven't heard it.
It's pretty funny. You guys should get it on the show.
Really?
If Al were here, he'd play it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, very welcome. We're going to go to Jesse in Luxembourg, Wisconsin.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Doing really good.
That's good. First off, I'd like to say that my condolences go to Kurt Hennig's family.
Yes, all of us. All of us.
Yeah. And secondly, I'd like to say what an honor it is to finally talk to you guys. I've been a fan for a while, and it's really cool to talk to you guys. All right, thirdly, I don't know if you guys follow updates on injuries, but I've been wondering for a long time now, how is Scotty Tuhati doing? I mean,
let's see. When's he supposed to? Is he supposed to be back like in the summer?
I think that he got injured in May, or supposedly, and got his surgery in May.
So they want him out at least a year before after the surgery. So I guess that would be okay.
Yeah, just wondering how is he doing? You know.
You don't really know how you're doing on that one until you start taking bumps in practice again.
Yeah.
But so far, everybody that's had that surgery has come back and been fine.
That's right.
That's great. That's cool because I want to see the worm.
Yeah. I don't know what they'll do with him though. Times have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably not do the worm as much anymore. You know.
Well, I just don't know. I don't know how he's going to fit in right now. I mean, he may. I don't know. Anyway. Yes, anything else?
Yeah, where's Brian Christopher? What's he doing?
What's he doing?
He left with Jerry Lawler's old girlfriend and never returned.
That's right, they left. I don't know where he is. I mean, he works independence in Memphis all the time, but I haven't seen him.
It's strange that they've never done anything with that.
Yeah.
Wow, it's actually a guy that quit and didn't come back immediately. We shouldn't be complaining.
I know. I don't know. I don't know what happened to him. I mean, he just works independence, and I don't miss him on TNA. I'll just say that. Those Brian Christopher matches were not, and those Brian Christopher interviews. I don't know.
There were a couple that I felt bad for enjoying them as much as I did, but there were others that were just horrible.
Yeah. Okay, anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. Thanks, guys.
Okay, we're going to go to Jim in Edison, New Jersey. Jim, what's happening?
How you doing, guys?
Doing really good.
I'm stuck in 25 inches of snow tonight.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it might get 30 inches by tomorrow morning, they're saying.
Do you ever get snow, Dave? Just out of curiosity.
Here? No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I had a couple questions about WrestleMania.
Yep.
Do you guys hear if any big stars are going to be there this year?
Stream?
I haven't heard of any names yet. I know that they're talking with people.
Okay.
I mean, the Evan Marriott stuff obviously has come out, which I don't think is going to end up happening. But I don't know that they're, I don't know that they want to have too much, like they used to in the early years. I think the feeling now is that they don't want anything to overshadow the big matches and everything, and they don't need the extra stars. But I'm sure that there will be a few, But I just don't know. I haven't heard any names though.
Did you hear if they're going to keep the roof open or closed yet?
They better close it, right? Brian, you live there.
I think the chances are about 95% that it will be raining profusely that day, so it will probably be closed.
That'll be cool then.
Okay.
Thank you very much, man.
Okay, we'll be back right after this. We got a couple of phone lines open, by the way, so you can join us at 1-800-878-PLAY, and you're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network.
UFC, and you're listening to the Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez.
Okay, welcome back to the show. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly, and we're going to have Tom Zenk up right after the hour. We're going to go to James in Seattle. James, what's going on?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Going really good.
I heard that D'Lo Brown got cut this week.
Yeah, he did.
That made me real spot for D'Lo. I thought he had, good ability on mic and in the ring, and he was one of the few people that made me care about the European title. But it seems to me that what the WWE is doing wrong is that they're putting these people in angles that are almost designed to fail and then cutting them. And I see that happening. I see that's going to happen with Guido, too, because I don't see any way that a group of him and Palumbo and Stamboli is going to get over. And it just seems like they're wasting their new talent that way.
That Guido thing reminds me so much of, was it the Mamalukes in WCW?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was, I didn't really think that angle amounted to much either.
I think the thing that was D'Lo, though, was D'Lo did not surprise me one bit. And, in fact, when the latest D'Lo push started, I predicted it would last 3 weeks, and actually lasted a little bit longer. I was totally not surprised that this would happen, and I just, I don't know.
They haven't done anything with him in years.
Yeah, I think that ever since the Draws thing, and they will never say this, but that was the end for D'Lo Brown.
I don't think it was the Draws thing. I think it was when they got the word that he was negotiating with WCW in the middle of that wrestling war. I think that they never gave him another chance.
Yeah, I guess that would probably...
They farmed him... You know when a guy's in trouble, okay? It doesn't matter anymore because they don't do this anymore. But in the old days, I mean, this was the kiss of death is when they farm you to, not to OVW, but when they farm you to Puerto Rico. That's when they send you to Puerto Rico, that's to make you quit.
Oh, and when they put him with Tiger Ali Singh, it's like, man, there's no way anybody who's with Tiger Ali Singh's ever going to get out.
No, you're right about that.
And
especially now.
You know, the Guido thing, I didn't understand. You know, I thought that there was some potential when they brought in with Noble, because I thought that would be...
Yeah, he changed relatives really fast.
Two good workers, could be a really good tag team, and you sort of have the...
Yeah, well,
the
Noble...
New York Goomba and the redneck, and that could be a real good odd couple.
Yeah, well, Noble's got the wrong girlfriend, and it killed him dead.
Yeah, I don't really know it, and I think that there's so much there where... anytime you put anybody in a feud with Rikishi and job them over and over again, which is what they're doing with the Italian group now, that's it's murder.
It's a kiss of death.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
My other question is, I've always thought Hennig always had just an amazing worker. Why did he never really become a world champion in one of the big two?
Well, he was in the AWA, and I think his back injury is what nailed him as far as never being a champion in the other organizations, because certainly where he was in 1991, eventually he was going to get there.
Yeah.
Okay, got to go ahead to a break right now. We're going to our hourly break. Thank you very much for calling, and we'll be back right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline, USA Radio Network.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of the Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Let's get it on.
Okay, welcome to the second hour here of Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter, with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly, and we're going to be joined in just a couple of minutes by Tom Zenk, who has known Curt Hennig for many years, dating back to high school. They still high in Robbinsdale, Minnesota, way back in 1976. God, that's a long time ago. Brian.
That was the year after I was born.
Yeah. How is it that so many wrestlers, we'll talk about this, came from Robbinsdale High School, as compared to my high school where no wrestlers came from?
Or mine.
Yeah, and almost everyone else's, too. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Anyway, we've got one line open at 1-800-878-PLAY, so you can join in. We're going to go to Jay in Harriman, New York first. Jay, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Going really good.
I have a comment and a question.
Yes.
My comment is I can't understand how Raven and D'Lo are let go, but people like Albert and Rikishi are on the roster.
Well, Rikishi always gets a big pop, and they have a soft spot for Samoans. Don't ask me why. Albert.
Because they're tough guys.
They're big guys. Yeah, they always think that there's always, a spot for a big guy to wrestle Undertaker or something. But, yeah. That's the thing is when you're Vince McMahon and Jim Ross and a lot of those people, and you walk in and you're in the locker room and you see a guy who's 6'7", it's more impressive than a guy who's 5'11". And where the rest of us sitting at home, yeah, it's kind of perplexing. Yeah. But Raven, yeah, I mean Raven, I wasn't shocked. I guess I was surprised. Not if they had done a massive firing, it wouldn't have surprised me so much But when he was that quick to go, that one surprised me. D'Lo, they haven't done anything with D'Lo in years either.
All right. And my question is, what is Scott Hall up to, and do you think we'll ever see him back in working for Vince?
Yes, I do now. But he's at home, wrestling very rarely. I mean, the only stuff I've seen him do is Puerto Rico.
All right. I always wanted to see the Click reunion in the WWE ring.
I think you'll see it someday. Because everything like that always happens.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Raven versus D'Lo forever on Heat.
Yes, they did.
Oh, ironic.
Yes. And
maybe that was the kiss of death.
Appearing on Heat every week and never on Raw is usually not a good sign.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we're going to go ahead to a break right now. We'll be back with more. We'll be back with Tom Zenk, as a matter of fact, right after this. And you can also join us at 1-800-878-PLAY. You're listening to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter, with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. Guest right on the line now is Tom Zenk from the class of 1976 at Robbinsdale High School, and someone who's known Curt Hennig, this guy, over 25 years. Way over 25 years. Probably. How long, Tom?
Since 1976. 74.
74.
Sophomore school. I met Curt. he took off doing our journey during our junior year, and he went away to Arizona, right? His father tried to steer the territory or something.
Yeah, in Scottsdale, yeah, Phoenix.
And then he came back for the senior year. But I've known his wife, Lenice, since the second grade in Catholic school here in Golden Valley.
Wow. What do you know about her? I guess you know her very well.
Yeah, what Kurt would say, poor Lenice. That's what everyone would say, poor Lenice. She's just a saint. She's just a wonderful girl. You know, her father was a dentist, and they went to our Catholic church up here in St. Margaret Mary, and so it's kind of a crazy story. I never would have guessed that Kurt would have grown up and married Lenice Leonard, you know, from second grade, wearing uniforms at Catholic school, skipping around the classroom to Lenice Leonard, Mrs. Curtis Henning, mother of 4 children, and then Kurt departing a bit too early at 44, my age.
What went through your head when you got the news, you know, earlier this week?
I got the news after getting off work about 3:30 from Joey Maggs. He called me. I said, "Hey, Joey, how you doing?" He goes, "Pretty good, or not so good, but you're doing pretty good. I guess you haven't heard." I said, "What?" He says, "Kurt's dead." I said, "I'll call you back." I didn't call him back for a couple of days. It's bizarre. You know, and Brian knows the reputation that I had in wrestling, and I'm not embarrassed to admit that I was pretty controversial and did drugs, all kinds of drugs. Your share, my share, Brian's share, whatever, and I'm like the last Mohicans from the class of 76. Rude's dead, Pillman's dead, Brady Boone, Dean Peters, he was the captain of the gymnastics team. He was a wonderful athlete. They're all gone. It's funny to pick up your newsletter and Brian's newsletter, Mr. Perfect Kurt dies, and then you said Zenk might be the only one, or is the only one to see his 45th birthday.
I mean, that's what I was going to, get to is, doesn't that just, certainly you never, I don't think that you ever wake up when you're in your 40s, or in your 30s thinking that, you're going anywhere.
No. But in the professional wrestling business, the psychology would be, I would believe, that you're invincible. You've pretty much got to feel that way, but then, as Terry Funk said in an interview this last week, TV, wrestling, TV is a drug, addicted to the pop. Holy, Terry Funk said. Kurt, the comeback kid, who would have thought? He told me one time, Zenk, he says, when I bend over, you look up my ass. I think you got a horseshoe up there.
Yeah.
He was a very, very, very lucky guy. And I'm happy for him. Other guys, I could care less about. Kurt was a friend beyond anything, above all. Martel, he wasn't a friend like Kurt. I thought he was. He was deceptive. In wrestling, we meet a lot of acquaintances. But true friends come first. I would consider you, Dave, and Brian more of a friend than most of the people I know in wrestling. And I don't know you that well, and really never met you. So imagine that. And these guys work with your body night after night. They're acquaintances. I wouldn't trust them. It's like Austin says, trust no one. If they told me, I'd look up and we'll check. But when a guy, a real pearl like Kurt Hennig dies, I mean, my God, you just got to stop and, take a look at what's really going on here and why it happens.
What's, with Pillman and Kurt and so many others.
It's the culture of wrestling, Dave. It's the culture. It's like Pee-wee. Pee-wee said to me, the referee for WCW.
Yeah, Randy Anderson.
Randy Anderson.
Hey, Bob, it's just the nature of the business. Pills, brawls, cheating, beer, drinking all night, cocaine, pills, downers.
That's true. It's really not normal to hang around guys 24/7. You get married because you want to be with your wife. You know that, Dave.
Yeah.
I never got married. I was engaged twice, but I was a cheater. I like to chase. It's a business of excess. you know, and I know what guys said behind my back. They buried me all the time. You know, but a guy like Kurt, I mean, I'm sure people, what did they say about Kurt? I'm still alive, guys. What did you say about me? I know pretty much what they said. What did you say about Pillman? What did you say about Rude? And in your column I read, Dave, he had more than 2 different kinds of pain Rude did in his autopsy.
Rude had lethal doses of more than one different.
Lethal doses. So, how many guys have you ever heard of mainlining stuff in wrestling, Dave? That's putting it in the vein. Shooters.
Yeah.
How many have you heard of? Many?
I don't know, actually, when it comes to that. I mean, I hear of pills more than I hear, you know, I mean, I'll tell you one that we, you know. That
we're talking about shooters, guy that's fired up. They don't want to waste a thing.
Yeah.
They got the hook in them that bad. They're putting it in their vein.
That's like Mark Kerr in the movie.
Well,
I don't really think I've heard of almost anybody doing that.
No, I've heard of people doing that, but not
many.
Not many.
More than 10, more than a handful.
Only the real bad ones. Only the real bad ones.
Huh?
Only the real bad ones.
They qualify real bad.
Yeah.
I would think I was real bad, but not from what I've heard from other people now that these guys are dead.
Yeah.
That's
I'm losing you.
of the business. Okay? No unions. Piper's crying about a union, but Piper would like to work for Vince. All these guys that had their time, they never said anything about a union. The best chance for a union was with Turner behind, and everyone kept their mouths shut. Hogan, Russo, every one of them, and they let it go on. They took him down the toilet. Bischoff, he's right there with all of them. No one put a union in for the boys, and they should have one.
We are going to start taking phone calls now. I want to start with Otto in Vancouver. Otto, what's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing really good.
Yeah, you know, I've heard about this Bob Sapp rap, and I heard about it tonight on the show. And I was in a strip bar the other night, and I heard them playing, and I'm wondering, where can I buy this thing?
How come I don't know anything about this?
I don't know.
Either. Tell me about it.
I've been trying to find it.
Rap is crap?
No, Bob. That's Kurt Hennig's song.
I know. I'm just trying to segue into something else.
Yeah.
I think if you look online, you can find it somewhere because it's all over.
Where would I look?
I think
online.
You can search somewhere.
Like, is there a specific spot, or?
How about Google.com?
It's like the greatest song I've ever heard. I've got it in my head. I can't get it in my head. It's driving me crazy. I've got to get this song.
Get some bed.
Isn't Brian, isn't Bob Sapp coming out with something like...
Yeah, he's got that CD coming out. In fact, I think you can already pre-order it.
Wow.
Well, thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, very welcome, Otto. Bob Sapp rap.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know that one. Brian, you don't know that one? I mean, you know that one?
Yeah, I've heard it.
Brian, you're a big time mark. Come on, tell us.
Oh, yes. It's basically some guy rapping about Bob Sapp, but they've got sound bites of Bob himself growling and such, and specific. It's very good.
Yeah. Yes, Tom, you haven't seen Bob Sapp, but he it's like, I don't know how to explain him other than he comes out to Ric Flair's music and Ric Flair's robes, and he looks absolutely nothing like Ric Flair. He's like, he's like 6'5" and 375 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, no body fat. What is it? 8% body fat, maybe?
I think they claim like 10.
Okay, I can believe. He's a freak.
Yeah.
And he's all the rage. Yeah. Too tough. Yeah, maybe the toughest guy on earth.
Really?
Maybe among them, anyway. Yeah.
Well, where's Vince going with this?
Vince doesn't have him yet. He's working Japan.
Oh, jeez, why doesn't he sign him?
He's making too much money with K1.
Oh, okay.
It's like he does TV commercials. He's like got 6 different TV commercials in Japan right now.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
Like every single day in Japan, there's something about Bob Sapp.
On the news. Every single day, whatever Bob Sapp did that day is in the news. Yeah.
Ride the wave then, Bobby.
Yeah, he's the biggest sports star over there pretty much right now. We're going to go ahead to a break. We're going to be back with Tom Zenk as well as your phone calls. You can join us at 1-800-878-PLAY. You're listening to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network.
It's Wrestling Observer Live with Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez. Two guys who eat, sleep, and drink pro wrestling, even when it doesn't taste good.
God, I was sleeping pro wrestling the other night, and that wasn't a very pleasant...
And it didn't taste good.
Oh, no, it didn't.
How was that?
Oh, no, I just had a nightmare. You haven't seen Matt Gaffari looks like Buddy Rose, except bigger.
Oh, yeah?
And I had this nightmare that I woke up, because I haven't been in the gym lately, and I had this nightmare I woke up and took off my shirt, and it was Matt Gaffari's body, and it was a hideous moment.
Well, Why? How bad do you look now?
I don't look that bad. I don't look like Matt. I will never look as bad as Matt Kafari.
Did that compel you to get back in the gym?
What?
Did that compel you to get back in the gym?
If I looked like Matt Kafari, I'd have been compelled long before then.
He's not there yet, Brian.
No, I'm not there. I'm not even overweight.
It's married life. What do you weigh?
What do I weigh? I'd say 175.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm definitely not fat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All we want to know, David.
Yeah, yeah. But in my dream, oh my God, I was 400, right?
You were shy, just shy of 400 pounds.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, that was pretty bad. I'm not going to ever watch 0-1 before going to bed.
No, God. Don't.
That's it. You know, when you were in the 80s and everything, you know, you and Kurt kind of took separate turns. You were in different parts of the country. You were in New York at a different time he was.
Yeah.
He was in Portland. You both actually went through Portland, but at different times, if I'm correct, right?
Yes. Yeah. I was out there in Portland. He got me booked. He and Martel got me booked. They had absolutely nothing for me. You know, that's when I was wearing the neck brace, and Ray Stevens, the crippler, pile drove me on the outside, right?
Uh-huh.
And both, Jack Lanza went in to Greg's office, and I was standing there, and they had like the 2-on-1. Lanza had his briefcase open, giving Greg Gagne the finger, when Gagne was saying, well, Tom, stick around here. I said, I got places to go, the old wrestler line, but I really did, because Martel and Hennig had called Don Owens and said, yeah, this kid's okay, blah, 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 put a word in for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was already booked there, and Lanza and myself, we pulled a little con on Greg Gagne, and Gagne didn't even know about it. Lanza was giving him the finger, so Lance, later, he took it wrong and he thought I disrespected him, but he was just pulling the company line with WWE. I was always jealous first.
Mm-hmm.
That had been going on a long time, early 80s, and Martel even said he was back there with Korea. So I think the whole culture has to do with kind of WWE or WWF, you know, from what it was before, you know. So drugs and steroids and uppers, downers, everything, it's just the culture of wrestling. Not in a bad way. I mean, in a very sincere way.
Yeah, well, but
you follow that schedule.
Do you think you could have wrestling without it?
I don't think so.
Yeah. You know, Pillman told me the same thing.
Who?
Pillman told me the same thing. He didn't think
Brian was an honest guy. I'm straight up. You always know where I stand, Dave.
Yeah. He, you know, I would talk to him about that, and he would, you know, his feeling was just the nature of the schedule and the nature of what you do that you can't have it without him.
He was in the NFL, for God's sakes. I mean, this isn't the XFL. He was in the NFL, the real deal. Brian was on Suicide Squad. He was a tough little bastard.
Yeah.
Okay? He wasn't just one of these guys now that have ruined business, you know what I mean, that are all whacked out. Brian was an athlete, okay? Henning was a good athlete, too. I mean, he took professional wrestling really good. Everyone wanted to work with him because he was like nothing. Okay, I wrestled him one time. He took me down. He just had to get over on me and show me that he, you know, who's king of the jump. Okay, this was in some small town in southern Minnesota. Maybe I don't even know. It's off of 35W and something going west towards Sioux Falls or South Dakota. Yeah, he took me down. And then it was like Portland. You shoot the first 2 minutes, you know, for Elton Owen. Jesus Christ, shoot for the first 2 minutes, and that's the way it was. But then we had a heck of a match. We went like 20 minutes. Kurt was great. But I think it's the whole culture of wrestling with the drugs, and no, there's no way he couldn't do it. So, I don't know. But Vince, he doesn't really help himself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, he's got a monopoly. My goodness.
Yeah, well, we know that.
Yeah, I know, but, you know, he should be able to run everyone over.
Well, I mean, he did.
There's no one left to run over.
There's no one left. Yeah, he did run everyone over. Now the only guy he's trying to pick on is Jeff Jarrett.
He's not even worth picking on.
Yeah, but Vince has to pick on somebody.
What?
But he has to pick on somebody.
Why doesn't he buy him out?
It wouldn't be as much fun. I think he did that one with the last one. I think that he realized what a mistake that was. I don't know about buying people out now.
Very good.
Yeah, let's go to Rich in New York. Rich, what's going on?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing really good.
There's been rumors going around on the web that when Kurt Hennig was found dead, he had somas and was doing somas. I'm wondering if you guys or Tom could comment about the the possibility that the pharmaceutical companies coming up with these stronger and stronger painkillers is contributing to the problem, because if Kurt was mixing supplements with other stuff, he was going out drinking or doing whatever else he was doing and mixing it with these strong painkillers. Don't you think that?
But that's something like when Art Barr passed away, which was believed to be from a combination of alcohol and painkillers. The thing, where everyone, doctors will always tell you don't mix alcohol and painkillers, but every wrestler. And by every, I don't mean every, but I mean the majority of wrestlers pretty much do that on a nightly basis. Wouldn't that be right?
Yes. Yes, it would. That would be right.
Yeah.
And some of the guys know the consequences, and others interest and principle the auto agreement. Okay. Big real chair in the WWE, WCW, whatever. Okay. But I knew only medical, and my father.
Rich, anything? As far as Kurt, because I know that this subject's going to come up as far as what he died from. Nothing's going to be official for about 2 months. I've heard every rumor in the world, and I just really don't want to comment on anything until there's, more there. But
Dave, what did you hear about me? It could have been anything. Could have been cocaine. Could have been downers, uppers, anything about me.
Hello.
Don't rule anything out, right?
What?
Don't rule anything out, right?
I don't. I'm not. No, I'm saying that we're going to wait and we're going to know. But I don't.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. No. And the fact is that that's a discussion. Unfortunately, and here's the reality.
Yes.
Most of the time when we have these things, like whether it was Dave Smith or Brian Pillman or Eddie Gilbert, okay?
Yeah.
And you hear about the heart attack at the young age. When it does come out, drugs usually do wind up being part of the situation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it certainly wouldn't, I think people are expecting it, to be honest. Whether it's the case,
Whether it's the truth or the leaf, those as Freak said in your newsletter, but 2 different kinds of prescription painkillers are, in his system. 2 different kinds, not 1, 2. Then I'm going, wow. That's how.
But the thing with Rude is I'll bet that he had a tolerance for it. It's like lethal dose if it was me, but for Rick Rude, because I've seen and so we've all seen guys. Louis Piccoli was taking enough stuff that would kill normal people, and he was doing that on a daily basis and living through it. And I'm sure that there's plenty of wrestlers that are in that you build up a tolerance too.
That's right. It's your liver, and the more you take, the more you need, and it's a vicious cycle. And that's the way it is.
I'm sure the people have always done, the wrestlers have always done painkillers and drugs to get their bodies in shape to get in the ring. But if you look at guys from years back, like Ric Flair, when he was in that plane accident, he obviously had to rehabilitate himself from injuries too, just like Davey Boy Rude and Perfect and all those.
Well, anyone who's in wrestling for any length of time, 5 years on a full-time basis, is got injuries, and certainly the guys for 15 years, they got to be hurting all the time. It's unavoidable.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yes.
Okay, and is the caller still there?
Yes.
So if I smoked dope and I took painkillers and did drugs before every match, and I had good matches, but I was always on the stuff, and other guys railed on me behind my back that I was a druggie and this and that, but I'm still alive, giving consideration to all these guys are dead, so what does that make me?
Lucky.
How could wrestle being on all the stuff or whatever and still alive?
Because you're lucky.
Make me, or what does that make them?
Yeah, you just didn't have the bad day that some of them had. I don't have an answer.
Right.
Luckier, I don't know.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, everybody. Right. Hey, that's right. Some of these guys, we know that there are going to be guys who take a ton of steroids. They're going to live to be 80, and there are going to be guys who take a ton of steroids. They're going to die when they're 40.
I said to one guy on the Japan bus, I said, "Hey, you want a couple of Percodan?" He goes, "If you don't have 5, don't give me any."
Wow.
He couldn't get off unless he had 5 Percodan. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, just a related issue. Have you heard from Billy Graham lately? How is he doing?
I actually heard from Billy Graham right after Kurt died. He's doing for the best he's done in years and years. When he got a new liver, and it's just changed his whole outlook on everything. But so he's doing very well, actually.
All right, thanks.
Okay, you're very welcome. Let's go to Jason in Lansing, Michigan. Jason, what's happening?
Not a whole lot. How are you doing this evening?
Doing very good. Very interesting discussion tonight.
Yes, actually, it is very topical and learn a little bit at the same time. I'm kind of going to ask the same question that some other people have touched on earlier this evening, and obviously Raven and D'Lo Brown have been let go recently. And my question is, why do people? We talked about Scotty 2 Hottie earlier. And also Kevin Nash, who has a huge contract and has only wrestled for 15 seconds.
Very good.
Why don't they fire him and get some of that money back? And
less a chance of him being fired now than ever.
He will never be fired.
Is it just political play with Triple H?
Yes. Yes.
Huh.
Yes.
In
play, he's just his friend.
In the industry, so much of this industry depends on
who you know,
and who you're in with, and who's going to go to bat for you. And there's talent, but if you know how to play the political game, and Kevin Nash plays it very well, that obviously supersedes talent. A lot of it.
It's all politics. I never played it. I never got anywhere.
Yeah.
Case in point right here. That's true.
What about like Scotty 2 Hottie then, who has some talent but doesn't really draw?
Forget about it.
Scotty, he's just I think I don't know what'll happen if the people really take to him when he comes back. He'll be in good shape. If he comes back and people have forgotten about him, it's not going to be good for him because he's not a big guy. So the bigger you are, the more chances you're going to get in the business because the promoters think they can figure out a way to make money with a big guy.
He was around in the boom though, so they'll pop for him.
Yeah.
A worm.
At first. Now, I mean, the thing, he's got that worm spot, but
yep.
Yeah. All right, we got to head to a break right now. We got a full bank of calls, so we got to get to everyone. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly, and our guest today, Tom Zenk, who wrestled for how many years did you wrestle actually? About 15?
I don't know. You would know more than me. Yeah, about 14, 15. I don't know, between Japan and that after, I quit WWF. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, wrestled for 15 years. I got a question.
Sure.
Okay, Brian and I went to high school, and there ain't anybody who came close to ever being a pro wrestler from our high school, and you had 7 in yours. Is that just, do you think, growing up in Minneapolis because wrestling was so big culturally, or?
Yeah, it was a culture of guys that went to Robbinsdale High School.
Oh, Vern went to Robbinsdale High School also?
Who?
Vern went there?
Vern, yeah, he was a graduate of Robbinsdale.
I didn't know that. I knew Larry, obviously, yeah.
He lived with Johnny Nord's wife's father's family. So that's how weird this is.
Larry?
No. Vern lived with Johnny Nord. He married a girl named Jane. His wife's father's family, Vern lived with. He was, I don't know, an orphan or... I don't know, they left him on his own when he was like 15, 16 years old, and he stayed with Jane's parents. And Vern was real strange that he never gave back or paid back.
Yeah.
It's like what Greg said, it's damning with faint praise, right? With the headline that, Greg said about Kurt. There was always...
Greg and Kurt is a real weird story, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. Very weird.
Yeah, because you're talking about... Because Greg... How would I explain this? Greg?
Phony business, yeah, very weird.
Because in a sense, they would be wrestling brothers and that both of their fathers were wrestlers, but
yes, in
a sense, they're also looking for the same spot. And Kurt obviously was a lot more talented of a wrestler than Greg, who kind of, I think Greg, a lot of the second generation owners kind of think it's their birthright to be a superstar. And with Greg, it's like Greg was a star up until the big steroid era came, and then all of a sudden, Greg, without having the body, it's like people wouldn't accept him anymore.
That's right. Greg was nothing. He was the one we had to defend most, okay?
Yeah.
And, you wouldn't come to the office if you got your butt kicked. It's like when I started wrestling for him, Wally Carbo said, I'm bouncing at a bar out in Burnsville, Minnesota, and he says, well, if you get your ass kicked, don't come back here to this office. You won't have a job. That's the way it was.
Yeah, in those days, yeah.
Yeah, but I've also read the books by Mazar and, that Debbie Mazar and Wrestling's a Microcosm of Society. You're darn right. That's the way it is. But the competition that Henning had with Greg Gagne, it was like, it's so counterproductive. It's like Triple H right now, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
RVD, you know, you say people are marks for pops in the WWF, right?
Yeah.
And who were you talking about earlier, that guy, that Christian or whatever? Is that his name?
Christian?
One that Ace was having a battle with.
Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy. Was it him that's the babyface, gets the babyface pops?
Oh, we were talking about Jeff.
We were talking about Jeff Hardy.
Okay, so what's the deal with him?
He gets babyface pops, and he's a mess.
Yeah. But they know it, right?
Yeah.
So why don't they do something?
Actually, they've suspended him on more than one occasion.
Well, how come, what I'm
Yeah, but
alluding
what is that really doing?
Yeah, but what I'm alluding to is why don't they have any control of their locker room? That's where it generally stems. I remember being there with Lou Albano, Roddy Piper, Rick Martel, Hulk Hogan. There was some order. They have no order in the locker room. Doesn't it start there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also I don't think that there's certain problems in the locker room today that there were back then.
Like what?
Drug issues.
There are drug issues, but no, you know, it's not.
Like I've been talking about in the actual locker room.
Okay. You think it's more secretive?
Not so much secretive, but you don't do it in the back.
No.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't mean that point. I'm just saying who's the locker room leaders now. Before, Ross had the thing, and he said about, what?
Undertaker.
Yeah, and you even alluded to in the show today that there's no new talent, and new talent is the lifeblood of the business. This is WCW all over again, and it's too bad that no one sees it.
I think people see it. I think people see it, but they don't know what to do about it. And then here's the other problem: is that when you're putting together a thing where your ego gratification, besides the pop, your two ego gratifications are the pop, and when those ratings come out the day after a show. And I mean, I just as an example, last Thursday they did Brock Lesnar and John Cena as the main event, and they did a 3.2 rating, which is way down. And I knew it would be way down because Brock Lesnar and John Cena, because people were not ready for John Cena as a main eventer. But if he main events for a while and catches on, and there's no guarantee that he will, eventually he'll mean something. But if they keep going back to Hulk Hogan, who will do a bigger number, the bottom line is then they'll never get any new talent over.
That's right. It's only a temporary thing, but you've also alluded to that they're planning ahead, which is a very good, positive sign, right?
They are planning ahead.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They are this time, for once.
They are, but I see this more as like SummerSlam, where everything was so great for 3 months leading up to SummerSlam because they actually had a plan for once for SummerSlam. And
that's true. You know what? I don't know what plan they have after WrestleMania. I only know what
they have one at all.
Yeah, I only know through WrestleMania, and then Rock is gone, and then Hogan very well could be gone.
You mean to tell me they're not going to get Goldberg to come in with Rock?
It's not happening.
Oh, stop.
I mean, it's not 100% not happening, but I don't think it's happening.
Okay, hey, Goldberg, forget about it. You stay in Japan. You're only getting older, and this is your time. Wrestling needs you, so if you like wrestling, otherwise, forget about it. Don't even say
but this
nothing
summer
in the
they
US.
need him even more.
Huh?
Yeah, they're going to need him more. They'll need him more. If I was them, I wouldn't even go for Goldberg now, but I would in about 4 months.
In 4 months?
Yeah, because in the summer they're going to need a pop.
Yeah, but it peaks with WrestleMania. Why don't you feature that and then you tease the crowd?
Because I think they've already got enough for this WrestleMania.
Huh?
I think they got enough for this WrestleMania as it is.
What's the big deal?
Yeah, they got Rock and Austin, Vince and Hogan, Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar for the first time.
So who wins with Rock and Austin?
Wouldn't you think Austin?
Yeah.
Austin's the babyface. Austin's the babyface and Rock's leaving, so it's logic says Austin.
I know, but I mean, what I'm saying with Rock, you could still milk more out of him, couldn't you?
If he's going to stay, but he's not staying now.
Oh, you mean Vince can't get to him?
No, he's got another movie in May.
Oh, so the McManos, that's all baloney.
What?
Not a puff.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Let's go to Keith in Minneapolis. Keith, what's going on?
Yeah, hello?
Hello.
Yeah, hi there. I'd like, Tom, hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Anyway, both you guys, Brian and Dave, both you guys have got great newsletters.
Thank you.
This is a guy from work that just loves you.
I work with Tom in the back every Monday morning. He gives us your 2 newsletters, and we can't get enough of it.
Oh, thanks.
Well, go ahead and ask him.
The reason I want to ask is, get to the point is, do you feel the reason that you're still around and living, and like Henning, Tillman, Rude are not, is that you're in moderation?
Or that you got out?
Yeah, I mean, no, like, I'm like, I don't forget Tom told me 4 months ago at work, before Henning died or anything, when Tom was wrestling, that, these guys would take, like, 4 somas and drink a 12-pack, only to drink a 6-pack and take 2 somas, and wouldn't get that bad, or, would get off the steroids, cycle steroids, and these guys would stay on them constantly. But I want to ask Tom, is that one of the reasons you think you're not laying in a casket right now?
Well, I got out of the business. Dave's right on that, but moderation is the key. The doctors say take a couple or take one, not a handful.
Okay, now, Tom, as someone who did steroids throughout your career, mentally, when you were a bodybuilder, you were a competition bodybuilder before you even got into wrestling.
That's right.
What's it like mentally getting off the steroids? And then your body, your whole self-image is your body, and then you're in the gym and you're a little bit weaker and all that. I mean, or was that hard? Because I know it's hard. Brian knows real well how hard it is because, of guys that even when they're off television and don't need to be on steroids are still on steroids because they can't mentally get off steroids.
Have you ever taken steroids?
Brian, I don't know. Brian, I don't think has it. I never have.
You never have?
No.
Well, I did, but I started out on them low. So, and I started on them when I was 22, and I started on Dianabol, 10 milligrams a day for the first 6 weeks, and I bumped it up to 15 before Mr. Minnesota, and I won the contest. Then after that, you got to go off longer than you go on. So cycling it and being on steroids, my whole self-esteem or my self-concept wasn't about steroids. But to make money, that was the whole thing with wrestling. See, Hogan was the main guy who'd buzz you. Hey, brother, you're looking small, or you've always got to have one guy on the take. And Kurt got in tight with the Gagnes, just like Nick Bonkwickle sat in on the booking meetings. That's why Hulk never won the title. So you get buzzed, and I know Hulk buzzed a lot of guys, or it was bodies in the 80s. It was cocaine in the 80s. It was downers. It was uppers. It was fastens. It was a lot of drugs. It's like bodybuilding is a lot of drugs to win at the Mr. Olympia level.
Or even at the local level.
Even at the local level, yes. When I won, guys were on 2 different kinds of injectables, 2 different kinds of orals, and I was on one oral and low dose only because my father was a pharmacist, okay? And it was like, wow. It's, you have to have respect for it, but you have to work out real hard. But there is a correlation with higher dose and getting bigger. So I'm thinking a lot of these guys that are huge, like Triple H, Scotty Steiner, they've been on for a long time, or they're on high doses, or maybe human growth hormone. I heard that's all a rave, too.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe some of the problem with some of the guys just basically that some guys have better genetics so they can use...
Well, of course they do.
Yes.
Okay.
It's all about genetics for bodybuilding and calves, and you can't pick your parents.
Yeah, it's like Luger. Luger looked great off steroids.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, yeah. And guys, you get a lot of heat because he looked good. Boy, they hated him. Oh, God, did they hate Luger. I always liked him. He was funny as heck because he was so sarcastic, but, the boys hated Luger. He looked so good.
Well, the other thing with Luger was also is that he did nothing in the ring.
Oh, yeah.
And he would always, up until the end, he always had promoters wanting him because of basically how he looked.
He was the only guy that went, he'd make noise when he'd punch you.
Yeah.
He'd make a wincing noise or, When he hit you, it was like, what? What's this? I mean, he was always nice to me. He bought me clothes out at Gold's Gym because he wanted someone to go there with him. And that's when that's when the WBF was taking place, and Aaron Baker talked to me for over an hour and said what a scam it was, and they were getting free money from Vince McMahon. So, I mean... Yeah, Luger was quite a character, big time, and he didn't work too hard.
Who would you compare Luger to now, Dave? Because you just saw that pay-per-view last week, and I didn't see it.
Yeah, who's that?
The way he looks right now?
Yeah. How big is he?
Well, he's 300 pounds.
Like Scott Steiner?
No, because he's got a really, he's got a real big belly right now. He looks like,
But a fat belly?
Not fat, though, not fat. I mean, I would say he reminded me of, like,
Ronnie Coleman belly?
Yeah, Ronnie Coleman belly, yeah, very much. It reminded me of maybe like Dick the Bruiser when he was 45, but a lot more cut, obviously, than Dick the Bruiser. But a real powerful-looking guy, but way more blocky than you remember Luger as being.
Bloated belly.
Yeah, big bloated belly. We got to head to our final break. We'll be back right after this to wrap things up. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Okay, welcome. We've only got a couple of minutes left here on Wrestling Observer Live. I want to get to one last call. It's Ben in Cleveland. Ben, what's going on?
Hey, Dave.
Hey.
Quick question. I'll make it quick. Is it a foregone conclusion after pay-per-view Rock's on Raw so they can feud with Austin?
I don't know how they're doing that.
I mean, I think brain-wise, I think it would be better for Rock to come on Raw
Then Austin to go to SmackDown.
Then you have like this.
There's been talk of Austin going to SmackDown too. I mean, I don't know what.
This may be something they have not really considered yet.
Oh, they have to have. I mean, they have to have considered that much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sick. But wait a minute. Is there infighting in the McMental household? I mean, has Triple H been using Big Steph to ace out Shane? Or is...
I don't know exactly, but there are certainly games being played as we,
Is Linda like Pat Nixon in drag?
That I don't know.
What happened to Shane? Are they the most #1 Americana dysfunctional family? Why don't they get into it just like the Sopranos or something? The McMahons?
Yeah.
Steph's morphing into what? China?
China.
How about they put a pellet gun over the ring, and they have Joey Foucault and what's her name? What's that girl?
Nicole Bass?
Amy Fisher.
Oh, Amy Fisher. Oh my God.
How about they have 1, 2, 3 boy and Joni come back? The past is the past, right?
Ooh, China come back. You know what though? It'll happen. It'll happen.
I know, but I mean,
it'll happen.
If nothing there in the WWE, how about Fox Network, right? Didn't they pay $30,000 each last time?
Oh, for the fight?
Yeah, and
yeah,
Steph can bash everyone senseless.
That's not happening. Ben, anything else?
Real quick, can you possibly put me through the train of thought of Goldberg of not wanting to work 10 days a month?
He's got money and he likes to sit on his couch and watch television, and he doesn't.
Bondsman, he's smart.
He doesn't want to go on the road.
Right.
He wants to hang out with his dog. He's got dogs, rats. He's got a million animals.
And he's no ugly mumser either.
Yeah, and he's got so. I can understand it. I mean, if you're really into wrestling and you really want to be a wrestler, you couldn't understand it at all.
Yeah.
And if he wants to be an actor, the exposure from WWF would help his visibility. But if he just
going to be an actor, who's been an actor? No one. Rock's the most successful, but Goldberg, no way.
Yeah.
He wants to be an actor. The last thing he was a meth dealer.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
Hogan, what in the ballerina suit, pink?
Yeah. Anyway, we're totally out of time, Tom. And I want to thank everyone for calling. And we will be back. Actually, we'll be back live in 2 weeks, but we'll have a tape show with Raven next week because, of course, next Sunday is the
Screw Raven over.
What?
Why do they screw Raven over? He's got a great mind for the business. Who's screwing him like Terry Taylor?
I don't.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, I think it actually worked out better for him because he's going to be able to book his own programs, and I think he's going to enjoy that and be on top.
Help WWE.
Well, he could.
I know he could, big time. They're missing the boat.
Yep. Okay, we got to go.
Okay, Dave. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Thank you very much, Brian. We'll see you next week.